Evening, y'all. This is Cheap Prepper. It's 11:35 now. I need to get my that's chocolate leftovers. Bad for you. Eye recovery is doing well. Without lenses, I can see 20/20 at distance. I'm going to need readers up front. That's as of today, which is the exam was about 9:30 this morning, so 18 hours after surgery, roughly. Wanted to do this video because, I talk about, and I did specifically say, research what happens post shit hits the fan. It doesn't matter why the shit hits it, whether it's hurricane, tornadoes, thunderstorms, floods. Pick the reason why you lose probably the most used and precious resource that we have, which is electricity, because it allows us to live a certain style of life. Without electricity, I'm on page 300 of 1 Second After. I've read it before, but I actually asked my wife tonight to give me the other 2 books in the series. And it has a good ending at the end of the series, but it doesn't come without a price. So within just a few weeks, they realize food is a problem. Certain portions of the town have water, the rest of the town doesn't, because they're below a reservoir that can get gravity-fed pressure. Disease starts killing people. The lack of electricity kills people, old people, young people. Diseases like, pick which ones. You get a bunch of people living together and you get problems on top of the fact that we go from being an uber clean society to an uber dirty society. I highly recommend reading 1 Second After, because it'll give you a picture of all the things that you need to consider. I've invested big money into certain things. I have what I hope is 2 vehicles that will run post EMP, CME. I don't know for sure. I have one that's points of condition, so it should for sure run, and then I keep the ground broke on it, so there's no circuit active on it. That truck would be like the old Edsel, so it doesn't have any electronics in it except for the radio. Alright. Water becomes an issue. Hot water becomes an issue. Staying clean becomes an issue. One of the primary characters, Colonel John Masterson, I think, gets a cut on his hand and it gets infected and he almost dies. He's a widower. He has 2 daughters in the book. One of them is a type 1 diabetic, and he knows from the very beginning how important insulin is, and he gets a few extra vials, but you can put the pieces together. There are riots, there are refugees, there are a lot of things. I can talk to you about the book, but what do you do with refugees that show up? Is your place secure? I know, because I've read the book, there's an issue with someone in his house late at night. In the end, he survives magically. There will be killing, a lot of it. There will be deaths. The mechanic that I am buddies with, we talk daily. I haven't talked to him in a couple of days because I had surgery and I was busy Monday, the day before surgery. But he says there'll be so many dying that we won't bury. So, when your life switches from being able to jump into a car and drive everywhere you need to go to where you walk, your operating circle shrinks from whatever it was before with a car and gas to at best 5 miles. 5 miles is pushing it, especially if you're carrying something heavy or pulling something heavy. having old books that talk about how you can make stuff if you can find the components, or later on in the books I know that they get some electricity back for a little while, and they have some massive fighting going on, and then some other things. But they've quickly learned that medication lack of is a problem. Food is a problem, like a big problem. There, later on in the books, there's an old couple that walk off, go home, and die. They starve to death. There are people that have already, in the 300 pages I've read of the first book, that have committed suicide. Some people with cancer supposedly left a note saying that the wife asked her husband to shoot her. She didn't want to die because of cancer, because apparently whatever she had was very painful, and he shot himself. And then they requested that the pills be given to someone to help them live. Talks about nursing homes, talks about hospitals. Without electricity, we're basically fucked. We don't know how to live without it no more. Now, to the credit in the book, young people step up, and I hope America's youth steps up. I don't have a lot of faith in a lot of them. They just look at things differently. I don't think necessarily bad, but definitely not in a good way. You can't hold hands and sing Kumbaya. Like I said in another video, if there's one bone and there's two dogs, only one dog gets it. And it gets so bad in the book that they wind up eating one of the dogs, the family dogs. Points of interest. They had camping gear, they had lanterns, they had a gas grill that they converted to wood. So you need to invest in things to live a much more austere life. He gets like a number of cartons of cigarettes, and then he hoards them. And then later on in the series, he runs out. So if you smoke cigarettes, shit hits the fan. You want to smoke them for a while longer, you better go get some. Like lickety split. People with chainsaws. There were cars that they wound up fixing, putting together, most Volkswagen Bugs and other old vehicles that didn't have electronics in them, that weren't hooked up, that were sheltered. So a lot of prepping channels talk somewhat about this. But there will be pockets of survival even if there is a massive nuclear strike. The problem with the pockets of survival is we will revert to what we were before we became civilized. Communities make treaties, offer protection for each other. Farmers are basically going to be told they're going to give up a portion of their livestock in exchange for protection. Ration cards will be issued. If you get a ration card, your house will be searched, and any food found will be confiscated. So do your research. People right now in California from that small tropical storm that hit LA are struggling, I would guess. I haven't seen much news about it, and I guarantee you if there's lack of electricity, there's problems. Here in Texas, we just had a tropical storm landing down by Corpus area, a little south of there. But, rain and wind knocks power out. So, for how long? Early in the book, the guy that's John, who winds up being the primary character, he talks about the fact that it might never come back on. So anyway, there's a lot to go over on that book, but right away, guns become really important. Having a vehicle that actually runs becomes really important. The amount of gas you have becomes really important because a car doesn't go run without gas. Apparently, you can convert them. You know, like I've converted one of my gas generators to dual fuel to propane. So it's not hard if you have the napkin. What else? Done so many videos on austere living, rocket stoves, wood burning stoves, to heat, to cook, gas grills, propane, dual fuel generators, backup lanterns. Pick which one you want and you don't want that you need to have. The ability to see at night, thermal weapon sights, MEGs, gives you a leg up on the enemy. So, or, unfortunately, your neighbor has to be. Start now. Should have started a year ago. If you haven't, start today. Anyway, this is my Jack Russell. She's a little stinker. She likes to roll on stuff that stinks. She's my little dog. She was actually supposed to be my wife. She bonded with me. So, she hangs with me during the day. Doesn't go to bed till I go to bed. And then when I go to bed, she's a traitor. She goes over to my wife and sleeps with my wife. And then the new dog is supposed to be my last dog. Guess what? He's becoming her dog. So he lays on her feet. So anyway, just a little information. With the way the world is, you need to be prepping a lot. Get ready to get paid here in a few days, and when I do, I'm going to go to the commissary and load up for the month. I said before, I often wonder every time I go to the grocery store if it's going to be the last time I go. And then with all the crazy talk about mask mandates, restrictions, and lockdowns happening again, and that whatever fucking bug they have is going to be 30 to 40% lethal. It'll make people so fucking scared that they won't go out. And they'll have to go out because they won't have anything at the house to keep them from going out, as they won't have supplies. So, I'm enjoying One Second After, and I'm going to endeavor to find the other two books. I may go to Half Price Books and see if I can find them, and if they have them somewhere, pay for them and have them shipped to my house. Because I have about another week where I'm not supposed to be doing, probably 9 days where I'm not supposed to be doing nothing strenuous. So I may go out to the generator shed and do some sanding on the metal lightly. All you gotta do is scruff up the metal so that the styrofoam will stick. So the question is, how many cans will it take? So probably doesn't have to be completely covered. It just needs to break up the noise and absorb them. So, without anything in there right now, the door open, with about 20 yards maybe from my door to the generator shed. It's about 85 decibels. So that's quite loud. That's something that you could hear from a long ways away. So I'm going to endeavor to change that level of noise. So that might be something people who have generators want to consider. Try to make their enclosure as quiet as possible, or get an inverter so it doesn't run as loud. I have some decisions to make on some stuff. With the push to go green, gas powered anything is going to become harder and harder to get over time. So right now I have a 2200i companion Honda generator. If I get the other one, which is the non-companion version, I can hook them up and have a 30 amp capable system, and they will run quieter and burn less fuel than my big generators. So I could actually separate them and run several things off of them. I.e., I have an APAP, a CPAP machine type thing, that needs clean energy to run. So. Also, there you go. I also need to get another solar generator to fully power everything I have that I would want to power, which is 2 deep freezers and 2 refrigerator freezers. I realize over time those will go away. So you need to dive deep if you haven't started, and then try not to get overwhelmed, and try to, everybody says start out with beans and rice, start out with water, start out with security, start out with shelter. So the shelter or the place to go, a bug out place, might be expensive, but might not be no better time than right now to get it, even if you got to pay a little extra, especially if you have the money to spend. So anyway, having said all that, the book goes through some stuff that happens, that will happen. There will be mass exoduses from cities. All the fat, overweight people, all the people with heart conditions, all the people with health conditions, as they're running out of medicine and realizing that they can't stay where they are, guess what? They're going to try and walk, and in the book it talks about people who have heart attacks and fall over dead. So, the book also talks about having to bury people. They start burying them in the golf course in town because the land is soft and they can dig graves. Outdoor cookware, cast iron, you need that, and you need to learn to cook with it. You don't want to be learning how to cook when the shit hits the fan with it, because you're going to burn food, and food's going to be precious. So, this video's gone on long enough. I just wanted to talk about the book. Food, water, medicine, transportation, gasoline, mobs, riots, health issues, people dying, disease. We've seen all that here in the U.S. We just don't. It just doesn't get talked about. So anyway, get the book and read it. If you're a prepper, I think you'll like it, because it'll make you look at things, and make you wonder, make you think. I've been overseas. I've seen what hungry people will do. You'll do some crazy shit. So, information is knowledge and power. Live a little, prep a lot. Chief Prepper out.